Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be going through and starting basically steps 2 and 3, kind of skipping over 2 for right now just because we want to get 1 made and going as far as one of our documents done before we start really exploring and learning about what's going on, which sounds kind of funny. Anyway though, the first thing we want to start with here is like how to open our document. All right, so once our document's closed, I think the easiest way is just going to Windows and then starting with our Adobe Illustrator. When you open up your Adobe Illustrator, you may see like the way mine looks when it pops up here where it shows some recent stuff. And if that recent stuff is correct, you might be able to, what's new? I'm not sure about this stuff. So I'm just going to close it out. At the same time, you might see your recent stuff right down here where I can see my items. If it's not showing up there, don't worry about it at all. All we got to do is go to either a file, open, or right here from this main page, hit open. And then we can go through and navigate to where our document's stored. Mine's automatically going there because I've been there before to my H drive. But if yours isn't, you want to make sure you go and expand this PC by clicking that arrow on the side, which faces it downward, and then go into your H drive. And then in your H drive is where you're going to find the stuff that you've been saving. I have a lot more stuff in there, but you should have a couple things, a couple folders maybe, and then just the one pencil item or a couple if you got more than one done. But what we're going to do is just open up our document that we're working on. So I'm going to go to Pencil 1 and hit open. Now, when I'm in Pencil 1, one of the things we're going to always do is just, hey, simple navigation, up and down with our scroll wheel, holding the Alt key, zooming out, zooming in, practicing the things we left off with in our last video. And from there, we're going to start working with our type tool. All right. The one thing we got to do to set up before we go to our type tool is I realize that our settings are different here. So we got to go over to our right-hand side of our page. And you're going to see a thing right next to our minimize button in our closing out where it says switch workspace. We want to switch our workspace to Essentials Classic. And Essentials Classic gives us all of the tools and it opens up this other top bar, which is really, really handy because it has all the information that we kind of change around to make ours unique. So now that I have that done, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and go to the type tool. All right. There's Learn More right here, which walks you through the type tool. Actually, there's a lot of really cool things in it. If you'd rather watch that instead of my other video that I made, it might be more handy and more updated. At the same time, I'm going to go and click on the type tool. Now, 2 things about the type tool that I just want to start off by saying is, hey, just click and then type, meaning don't click and drag. And the reason why is if I were to click and drag and do the exact same thing that I just did right there, when I go to resize it later with our selection tool, once again, there's a Learn More portion where you can get some information from that. If I select that and click it and drag it at the end and click and drag it on the bottom, it just makes my actual text box bigger, where if I just click and type, when I go here with my selection tool to select it and move it around, it automatically resizes, which is really handy when we're first learning, that text box and that text size. So I'm going to select this one on the bottom that I don't need, and I'm going to hit the backspace button, which deletes that out. Now, since I've already clicked and moved around and clicked and made a text box, I have a text box here. If I use my text tool or my selection tool, when I select into it, if I click and drag it, it moves it around. Some simple things that way. Once again, the top middle bar, if you extend it, it stretches it out, makes it taller. If you go to the other side and stretch it out, it makes it longer. You have this entire space. The one thing I would say is in the first document, we want to be having our name, and then we should also have a symbol that we planned out at the end where we have something. I think I just made a little smiley face. All right. Now, the one thing I will let you know though is when you go from your text type tool to your selection tool, and you have this selected because you need to have it selected, you can change your type of font family by just going up to the top bar and selecting through all the information that's there. All right, so you can go through and explore the different types. Even if you just come in and select and then click into there, you can use your cursor keys up and down to kind of pan through and see different variations that you have and find the font that you're looking for. All right. One more thing that I would suggest to do is if you are interested in making some more fun symbols, I found these things called Webdings that were on mine, or sorry, Windings. Wingdings. I can't even talk this morning. Oh, there's Webdings and Wingdings, where if you select that, it has a bunch of symbols for those characters. All right, meaning that you could come in. I'm actually going to undo that and just make a new text box. But if I were to come in here and click and just type like A, B, C, D, E, the alphabet, and then I go select that and go to my Webdings or my Wingdings, because they're kind of the same idea, you can find more symbols that you might want to use that are kind of handy to make your, I guess, little design here a little more interesting. Other than that, though, once we get our stuff created with the type tool and then moved and made the appropriate size with our selection tool, remember if you want it to be on top of your pencil, you want to keep it in between the blue lines, which are the guidelines that I have set up for you that just tell you kind of where the top of that pencil exists. All right. So if you're between those spaces, it should be on that very tip top of those hexagonal pencils. And then remember, you have 2 inches of space here from left to right, so use that space. All right. For this one, it's just your name and a couple of symbols, so make it the majority of the white space that we have there. In our other designs, we may have to make some fonts smaller just to make sure that they're appropriate and they fit. The thing we have to worry about there is, are they too small where we can't read them anymore? Because remember, this is only 5/16 space top to bottom and 2 inches left to right. Now, one thing you want to do is if you ever do any changes here, you want to make sure your stuff's in the white space because that's where it's going to laser engrave. And then at the end, you always want to make sure you do a file save just to make sure that you have your most updated document saved in the right location. Once you're done doing this, you want to let your partner do the same thing that's on your computer or you're sharing PCs with. And then you want to start your pencils number 2 and 3 doing the same exact thing. Downloading the pencil template, renaming it, making it, creating it, and saving it. In the next video, I'll talk about how to get things to our Dropbox. Thanks for watching.